African news update on top Accolade news. From politics and human rights to sports and cocoa war, today's headlines reminds us that power, accountability, and people's voices are colliding across Africa and beyond. Let's get straight into the headlines. Tanzania court bans live coverage of Tundu Lissu's treason trial. Protests loom as Ghana farmers reject new cocoa producer price. Kenya Revenue Authority opens over 300 job opportunities. U.S. report condemns Zimbabwe's worsening human rights record. We start on a tense note in politics as Tanzania court bans live coverage of Tundu Lissu's treason trial. A Dar es Salaam court has banned live broadcasting of opposition leader Tundu Lissu's treason trial, citing witness protection, a move critics says shield justice from scrutiny. Lissu, arrested in April for allegedly inciting election disruption, faces a death penalty if convicted, while right groups warn that the case deepens fears of political repression under President Samia Suluhu Hassan ahead of October's election. When justice is hidden, democracy grasps for air, and Tanzania's trial of Lissu feels like a warning to all who dare to dissent. The story of power and accountability doesn't stop there. It takes us straight into the next headline in economy, where protests loom as Ghana farmers reject new cocoa producer price. A coalition of cocoa farmers in Ghana has vowed to bar cocoa board officers from their farms after the 2025/2026 producer price was set as 3,228 cedis per bag, a 4% increase that says falls short of the government's pledge of 70% of the global market rate. With smuggling to Ivory Coast and Togo already siphoning an estimated 160,000 tons last season, the dispute risks further destabilizing the world's second largest cocoa supplier. When farmers feel cheated, beans turn into bargaining chips, and Ghana's sweet crop could quickly become a bitter crisis. Another story is drawing attention still in economy from a very different angle. Kenya Revenue Authority opens over 300 job opportunities. The Kenya Revenue Authority has announced more than 305 openings, including 200 graduate trainee slots and top managerial posts, with applications closing September 8th and 9th. The taxman, employing over 8,000 staff, joined other state agencies like the Ministry of Roads and National Youth Service in widening opportunities for Kenyans. In a nation where job scarcity fuels frustration, every vacancy feels like a lifeline. But the real test is whether these roles create lasting impact, not just headlines. While Kenya looked to open new doors of opportunities through jobs, across the border in Zimbabwe, the conversation is not about opportunities, but about freedom, as UN report condemns Zimbabwe's worsening human rights records. A U.S. State Department has released a blistering 2024 report on Zimbabwe, detailing torture, arbitrary arrests, media repression, and state-backed intimidation of opposition figures, with 80 activists detained in June ahead of SADC summit. Perpetrators remain unpunished as new laws criminalize criticism, tightening the state's grip. Right groups warn President Emerson Mnangagwa's actions are isolating the country further, proving that when governments silence dissent, they also silence their chance at global trust. When a state silences its people, it silences its future. You're watching the African News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. We have an unsettling story in conflict as Congo peace talks collapse in Doha. Peace hopes in the Democratic Republic of Congo have dimmed after government officials and M23 rebels failed to strike a deal by the August 18 deadline in Doha, despite Qatari mediation efforts. The stalemate has heightened fears of renewed violence, with both sides accusing each other of breaching the fragile ceasefire agreed in July. The Congolese army reports fresh rebel attacks, while M23 insists the government must release prisoners before any progress can be made. The United Nations has condemned the escalation, noting at least 319 civilian deaths in recent assault by the rebels. When peace deadlines expire, it is always the civilians who pay with their lives. And if the crisis in eastern Congo paints a picture of a fragile ceasefire slipping away, Sudan tells an even darker tale when UN accuses Sudan's warring sides of mass detentions. The United Nations has accused Sudan's army and the rapid support forces of detaining tens of thousands without charges since the 2023 civil war began, with survivors recounting torture, starvation and death in overcrowded prison, adding to a conflict that has already killed 40,000 and displaced nearly 13 million. Right groups said the account of electric shocks, knife wounds and hunger death lay bare at a humanitarian catastrophe spiraling out of control. When prisons become graveyards, a war is no longer about territory, it's about humanity itself. And while Sudan's war exposes the cruelty of unchecked power on the battlefield, back home in Nigeria, a different kind of power, corporate power, is under fire in entertainment as VeryDarkMan accuses Dangote Group of abandoning truck accident victim in Edo. Nigerian activist Martin Otte, known as VeryDarkMan, has accused Dangote Group of abandoning a 22-year-old woman hospitalized for 11 months after being crushed by one of its trucks, with unpaid bills topping 5 million naira. While the company recently pledged to cover another victim's scare, Otte insists its silence on the case exposes a troubling pattern of selective responsibility. When the nation's biggest conglomerate shrugs at life shattered by its trucks, corporate power begins to look less like a progress and more like impunity. Finally, in sports, fixtures unveiled for 2026 under-17 AFCON COSAFA Qualifier in Harare. The stage is set in Harare for the 2026 CAF under-17 AFCON COSAFA Qualifier, running from September 10th to 20th, with Comoros sitting Eswatini in the opener and Zimbabwe hosting Mozambique later that day. Group B sparks early drama as Zambia face South Africa, while Group C lines up Angola, Mauritius, Lesotho and Botswana, all battling for semi-final spot on September 18th before the final at Ngoni Stadium 2 days later. Beyond the clash, for silverware, the tournament is a gateway to the continental finals, proving that these young stars, every kick is a step towards the big stage. That is a wrap on today's top headlines. From job opportunities shaping Kenya's workforce to human rights and political tensions across Africa, to the promise of young talent on the football field. Stay informed, stay engaged, and join us next time as we bring you the stories that matter the most, both at home and across the continent. I am Ojorumi Okocha. Connect and engage with us on all our social media handles. Do have a wonderful day and keep watching the African News Update on Top Accolade News.